Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Final Fantasy XIV. In the last part, we headed on to the first Eden high-end raid duty, Eden's Gates. We are now going into the second tier of the Eden raids. So, let's see what we can find out. We left off with some ominous message about some Oracle of Darkness. Let's see what everyone has learned by going. Alright, Mr. Alligator. There you are. I'm part of the team helping with the Eden. I mean, highly classified and very, very secret thing. The fact of the matter is, I've come to inform you of a rather interesting development. It's about the girl who was brought back from the empty. She's finally woken up, you see. Oh. Yalfort! And Sisla too! We heard the news from Thancred. Is it true? Why, yes, it most certainly is. Apparently, her name's Gaia. She claims to be a free citizen of Yulmor, although she remembers nothing of the events leading up to her attack on Eden. She's lost her memory? Parts of it, at the very least. We also cannot be sure whether she's telling the truth or if it's merely a ruse. She's yet to display any hostility, which is encouraging, I suppose. And Thancred's with her now, is he? Yes, he's taken her to Yulmor, merely to verify what she's told us so far. Quiz the locals, that sort of thing. And after that, the plans to come back here, though they're taking rather longer than I anticipated. I do hope nothing is amiss. Oh boy, what are they doing? Good grief, are you always this slow? Who's this? At this rate, it'll be dark again before we know it. The night sky returning is all well and good, but it does make each day seem awfully short. You are still dragging your heels back there? At least act as if you got a purpose, would you? This lady's got a little too much makeup on. Now look here, I'm not one of your servants. Why don't you try carrying your own luggage for a change? Thancred, you're back. You are a sight for sore eyes. Yes, even you, Urianger. Guy and I have just finished shipping her personal effects from Yulmor. I'm glad we could finally meet. Properly, I mean. Did you learn anything useful? Other than where she lives, not an awful lot. Her supposed neighbors barely knew the first thing about her. Hell, she barely knows the first thing about herself. Her recollections of her life in Yulmor is patchy at best. But she seems convinced that she'll regain her memory if she accompanies us, so she invited herself to join our merry band. And for her first act, she ordered me to carry her luggage. Huh. If you insist on standing around talking, might I suggest finding a place to sit down first? My feet are killing me. Then perhaps you should have chosen more sensible footwear. Still, it's not such a bad idea. Shall we? Well, she's a character. Alright. So what's going on? So, you don't remember anything at all? Not attacking us or not falling unconscious? Such selective amnesia would rather raise suspicion within those of a conscious mind. Yet, if she does speak the truth, it would lend credence to my current hypothesis, though admittedly some further. Not now, Urianger. She's only just woken up. We don't want her bore her back to sleep. In any case, I prefer to follow my instincts, and they're telling me that Gaia means us no harm. After much deliberation, I thought it only right to let her know about our work within the empty as a sign of goodwill. After all, trust works both ways. Though to ask you, Cecilla, not to let your guard down just yet. So you're the one I'm supposed to have fought. Come to think of it, I recognize you from somewhere. Maybe I just have one of those faces. Or perhaps you just didn't make much of an impression. But to be honest, I do feel that since meeting you, those hazy memories are coming slightly clearer. It's like remembering fragments of a dream, only to realize those things actually happened. It's as though my whole life has been leading to this. I'll speak as though did expect these events. I guess you could say that. That's what the fairy tells me. Oh. I can't see it, but it's as if though there's someone inside me, and I can hear its voice in my head. It's whispered to tell me to use it. Let me use its power, magic, I suppose you could call it. Not that I know much about that sort of thing. And this power alloweth thee to tear open the fabric betwixt realities that thou mayest call forth the ether-starved denizens of what remaineth of the 13th. What? Was that supposed to mean something, or are you just spouting random words at me? Honestly, I don't know how you all put up with this. I've only just met him and his insufferable prowl's already giving me a headache. God, I still can't believe I'm having this conversation. And to think I was flying around in a suit of armor waving a sword. That doesn't sound like me at all. Someone else inside you. Like Minfilia was inside me. Aye, the similarities cannot be ignored. Though it is too early to say with certainty, Gaia may well be the Oracle of Darkness. The Oracle of Darkness? What does that even? What does this mean? It means that you may have been right when you said she had something in common with M itself. Those who have been used as a living host as by an Ascian have no recollection of events that occurred during their possession. This I know from personal experience. But Gaia seems to have some memory still, even if they're a little hazy. Moreover, she has remained in control of herself, even when she heard the voice within, much like you and Minfilia. And though Ryan was very much of her own person, Minfilia's presence did exert a change upon her outward appearance, granting her hair and eyes a hue akin to that of our dear departed friend. It is therefore not unthinkable that Gaia's raven locks might be a manifestation of the darkness which had come to reside within her. But I was born like this, and my parents, they both had black hair too. Or at least I think they did. It's been so long since I saw them, I can't remember too well. But enough about me. You're Minfilia, aren't you? The Oracle of Light who they were hosting Neomore? That's right, though imprisoning is a better word. They kept me locked away, and I didn't know much of Neomore and its people, or the rest of the world for that matter. I see. And how did exactly the Oracle of Light come to run with the Warrior of Darkness? Well, it all started when... Yes, I still remember the day everyone went raving mad and Lord Vothru fled. Everything about after that is still a blur, though. From what Gaia has told me, she wasn't part of the mob that attacked us, but how was she able to resist Vothru's control? Maybe 'twas the intervention of this fairy of whom she speaketh. As curious as that may be, we still don't know why she appeared out of nowhere as soon as Eden took flight. This is just a guess, but I'd say that the fairy reacted in it some way, and for whatever reason, maybe go after it. Yes, that seems like the only explanation. I don't know about you lot, but I've had enough nattering. I'm going back to Eden. What? But why? The fairy wanted something from Eden, and knowing what that is will bring me just a step closer to discovering exactly what it was been living in my head all these years. Besides, my memories aren't going to restore themselves, and certainly not through idle chit-chat. So I'm going, and that's that. Gaia, wait! Insufferable. Utterly insufferable. And yet we can't well leave her to her own devices. Come on. Oh, Jesus. Oh, it's gonna be one of these things where I have to go in the middle of the map. I can't they just teleport straight to the end and go from there? Alright, what's going on? Don't tell me he lost her already. Get away from me! Oh, antlion. Gaia! Seems I have no choice. What you doing? What was that? Looks like I didn't do anything. Ticking time bomb. Oh. Disintegrated. What am I? Well, that was something. What are you all gawping at? I don't mean to stare, but it's not every day I see magic like that. So this is the power of the fairy you spoke of? Ever since I was a child, it whispered to me, telling me what to do. That's how I came to use its power. But there are things I can't even explain. Holes ripped in thin air, terrifying creatures crawling out, ghastly-looking blades and armor appearing out of nowhere. But worst of all is the dark energy that comes from inside. This power, it feels as though it's only flowing through me and never truly mine. And even when it answers my call, it always takes a few moments for the spells to work. So in summary, you don't have control over the magic. Well, it's not as if I ever tried to control it. I haven't made a habit of fighting wild beasts. Unfortunately, it's part and parcel of traveling through Amarang, and while I understand that you want for answers, you're not going to find them unprepared as you are. If your heart is set on this, then we'll help you. Rain, think about what you're saying. You're seriously considering taking Gaia to see Eden? There's no telling what might happen if she loses control again, so the safest option is for her to stay away until our work is done. Somewhere we can keep an eye on her. You must realize it's for her own good. I must concur with Thancred's assessment. At present, we know precious little of Gaia's origin and less still of her powers. If she is indeed the Oracle of Darkness, her presence made complicated tasks already fraught with peril, placing our mission and her own well-being in jeopardy. In full knowledge of the risk, dost thou still wish to pursue this course? I do. It wasn't so long that I was living in isolation, being held against my will. Maybe the people that keep an eye on me thought that was for my own good too. But if we shut Gaia away for our own convenience, we're no better than Vothra and Ranjit. I've learned that when someone is in need, we must reach out with a helping hand, not push them away. Now it's my turn to do for Gaia what you've all done for me. Even knowing the danger that lies ahead, I don't choose the easy way out. This is the path I've chosen. Is that good enough for you? Well, can't say fairer than that. How about you, Urianger? The light of thy spirit doth burn bright. My apologies, my dear, but we felt it necessary to test thy resolve. Let it suffice it to say thou hast left no room for doubt. For what it's worth, Rain, I never doubted you. But make no mistake, the danger that Urianger and I spoke of is all too real. If you're prepared to go through this, we'll be right there beside you. That means a lot to me. Thank you. I couldn't care less who I try with, but if we're going to go, then let's get going already. There's supposed to be some sort of craft waiting at the Southern Watchtower, yes? Come along then and don't fall behind. Ugh. Oh, man. Alright. Let's get on our little sky slipper and be on our way. It might be a bit of a tight squeeze with the 5 of us, but we'll manage. Perhaps Urianger can sit top of our luggage. Huh. So there it is. Eden, where I'll find the answers I seek. The bringer of the flood, the first sin eater. Would it lead me to my past or my future? What awaited on the path ahead, I couldn't say, but I had no choice but to take the first step. Ooh. Can't tell if that was her thinking to herself or that was actually monologue. Well, good blood and thunder, that can only mean it's Ramu is next. Or Ramu. I know what it's like. It was the same for me. But I was lucky because Thancred freed me from Yulmore and I had the chance to see the world. More importantly though, I met all kinds of people and they taught me not to live in another shadow, but to be myself. Maybe one day you'll have that chance too. Said your piece, have you? One day? What's that supposed to mean? I don't know how the Great Oracle of Light sees such things. But for someone like me, who's only known life in Yulmore, there was no tomorrow. There was no future. Only the here and now. And while we waste time in these meaningless conversations, I feel each moment of my life slipping away. Time, it won't wait. Not for me, not for anyone. I don't know how much longer I can hold on to who I am. I'm sorry, Gaia. Gaia? That's probably not even my real name. It isn't? When Thancred asked me my name, I couldn't remember. That's when the fairy whispered to me, Gaia. But if you grew up in Yulmore, sure someone must have known who you are. Everyone I knew once knew had either disappeared or turned into sin eaters. Those whose faces and names I still remember, that is. In the end, we found not a single person who has so much as recognized me. As far as I can recall, I've never been the most sociable person, but still. Well, even if it's not your real name, I think Gaia sounds lovely. If you're happy with it, then that's what I'll call you. And if you're willing, instead of the Oracle of Light, please call me Reen. It's not the name I was born with. That's long forgotten now, but the people whom I consider family gave it to me. Is that so? Well, as much as I'd love to keep this chatting, there's something that's bothering me. I thought the fairy would have reacted to Eden in some way, but so far, nothing whatsoever. From what I gathered, it wasn't until Eden started moving that I appeared out of the blue. Perhaps if you actually tried flying it somewhere, the fairy might break its silence. If you got talents to restore, or whatever it was, why don't you hurry up and get it over with? Alright, well, I'll play along. It may be best to resign ourselves to her mannerisms. Good thing we're not wholly unfamiliar with intending nobility given certain company in the Scions. Of whomever dost thou speak, I wonder? Huh. Alright, everyone, I think we have all talked long enough. If you're ready, let's make our way to Eden. Alright, back to Eden. Following initial changes brought by the release of water and earth, the empty hat displayed no further signs of alteration. Stability, some may call us being satisfied, but in truth it's passivity. The passivity stemming from the light's ever-pervasive presence. If we're to break the status quo, we must deploy a catalyst, a third element that shall arouse and stabilize those unleashed energies and activity. Therefore, I propose lightning. So the primal would be Ramu, yes. When I've heard he's a guardian of the forest and not particularly keen on conflict. But you've actually fought him, haven't you? He's a half man, half beard, and a half man, half beard, and another half beard for good measure. I chase most of the time chasing after orbs with varying degrees of success. I wonder if the Sylph had something to do with that. I hear they can be quite mischievous, much like the pixies of Ilmeg. I'm glad to see our lessons have paid off. Well, it's like you say, if you want to call forth an accurate representation of the primal, you should picture it in my mind as clearly as possible. At the very least, it's worth a try, but the rest is up to Cecila. In order for this to work, we need to actually fly somewhere, yes? So rather than sitting in one spot while we exchange anecdotes, why don't we get this blasted thing moving first? One must admit, the suggestion is not without merit. Rain might suggest the Gandalf Thunder Plains as our next location. These plains is right. We're perpetual blinking in storm clouds, the only source of illumination that ceases barrage of lightning. The ambient ether that lingereth there shall provide ideal conditions for the summoning. Then that's where we're heading. Come on, Eden, we've got a job to do. We've never even heard of these Thunder Plains. This should be as good a spot as any. Alright, Cecila, whenever you're ready. Memories of Ramu will flash through your mind. Alright. Our first one. I'm not sure about these ones. Might cost a bit of money though, unless they've gone down in price since the last time I saw them. So really, I can find a replacement for ninja. That's fine. There's a lot of ninja weapons out there that I really like. Not samurai. Bard. I can find a replacement. Fine. It's just Dragoon. I might have to go the relic route for that one, which means I have to do the entirety of the relic, which means I have to get the weapon, and then I have to do all the steps. So great.
疑似神下ろし開始します。
Raw move. Where's your big luscious beard?
あれが雷神ラム。
Alright. Oh, that's gonna hurt. I'm not gonna get it off in time. Sorry, buddy. I would have died if I hadn't moved. Really? Oh boy. Yep. So much death. I take it? Yeah, no. I tried! Whoa, dude, I wasn't even paying attention to the horses. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Woo! My God, people just keep dying. Good Lord, people just need to stop dying for like 2 seconds, please. Don't stand by me. You're gonna get your ass blown up. Oh no. Oh, that was unfortunate. I was animation locked. Oh, that sucks. Oh, my Benny! think it was the first time I had to use a healer LB. Oh lord, that was a mess. That was a royal mess. I am taking thy measure, bringer of light. Good lord. That was a fine mess, that was. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Talon because he didn't die off. He didn't die a lot. Goran, no. I'm sorry, buddy. Usually I only got 3 comms out of that? Oh, bullshit. I kept the whole thing alive. I thought I was prepared to expect anything, but I didn't expect Ramu to turn out quite like that. Appearance aside, he was quite aggressive as well. The Sylph's belief in him as a kindly guardian clearly makes a difference in his temperament. Anyway, I'm just glad it's over. Let's get back to the camp to see if anything's changed. I agree, get me the hell away from this place. That was a royal disaster. Fuck, dude. The grass is a bit different color, but apart from that, it all looks the same. It may look the same, but it feels different. The air has grown slightly more humid as it does before rain. I have to say, I'm not exactly prepared for wet weather. Being can control elements and so on, can't you tell it to send those clouds somewhere else? Speaking of which, I'm not very impressed with its so-called powers. If changing yellow crystals to purple is the extent of its abilities, it's no surprise the fairy didn't bother showing up. I hope that whatever's next is more worthwhile. Yeesh. Hard to please. Rather than influencing the ground beneath our feet, Eden hath brought change to the firmament above. Yet, it is clear that a more dynamic element is required for the natural cycle of precipitation and evaporation to be complete. So we need movement. Would wind do the trick? Most certainly. It seems we have a plan, so let's not dwell too much on the effects of each individual element and instead focus on seeing them all restored. The Oracle, power of an Oracle. Not to be sniffed at, it seems. All my life, you were a constant companion, your voice ever seeping into my mind. Why then, of all times, did you abandon me? This must be monologue, because of the text box. Deaf even to the crashing of thunder. Or were you simply biding your time? Man, dude. I kept the whole thing alive, and I only get 3 comms out of that. I'm calling... Into Firestorm. Wait, I thought we were doing wind. Ere we sail out once more, might I ask that thou art familiar with the process of which rain is made to fall? It's an elegant conspiracy. I suppose so. Thou shalt have difficulty understanding the explanation to come. With the restoration of our first element, the empty was once more blessed with the most essential ingredient in the cycle of precipitation: water. Under normal circumstances, the heat existing in the atmosphere would cause water to evaporate from the land's surface. As an invisible vapor, it is borne by the wind high into the firmament, where it doth condense as clouds before descending once more, return to the land in the form of rain. It seems we need wind aspected ether to create more clouds. That it hasn't rained yet must mean that there are not enough. And even before that, we need fire aspected ether to make the water evaporate. Seems to me that just one's not much good without the other. Why don't you just draw both elements together? Your suggestion that specify two deiform entities, each one as deadly as Ramu at the same time. Do you realize how absurd that is? And yet, 'tis a notion that doth warrant further consideration. Excuse me? Oh, you can't be serious. Cast your minds, if you will, to the elemental wheel I did show you at the bookman's shelves. Wind giveth rise to the lightning, whose spark doth produce fire. By restoring both wind and fire in tandem, we may maintain balance between those dynamic elemental forces. The ensuing battles shall indubitably present an ordeal unlike any Cecil hath ever faced. I believe, however, that this path doth lead to the prize we seek. So perhaps it's not so absurd at all, after all, eh, Thancred? I wouldn't dream of questioning Uriander's grasp of the science behind it. My concern is for the burden this would place on not only Cecil, but Reen as well. What do you both make of the plan? If your Uriander thinks it'll work, I'm willing to give it a try. As long as you know you're letting yourselves in for what you let yourselves in for, you're going to need all your strength, so may see that you get plenty of rest. Great. Gaia? Alright. Seems Reen is reluctant to air concerns. You're ready to rally your spirits. You may be willing to talk. Alright, I need you to perk up. Where's the rally emote? You know, I can just type it out. Make it easier for myself. Yes, you're right. There's no use in trying to pilot Eden while I've got other things in my mind. It's about Gaia, you see. The truth is that apart from Alize and Alphinaud, I hardly know anyone of my own age. I thought I should make an effort to be nice to Gaia, but... well, you've seen how she is around me. I understand that she's got her own problems to deal with, but I thought that maybe I could help her in some way. It's not my place to intrude, and I should probably just leave her be until we finish restoring the elements. After all, that's more important, isn't it? Let me talk to Gaia while you concentrate on the task at hand. Is what I would have said once upon a time. Seems to me that you're the one best qualified to take care of this little problem. I know she can be a bit prickly, to put it mildly, but if anyone could get through to her, it's you. Although we've only known her for a short while, we're all she's got, and I think she realizes that. Just let her know she's not alone. She'll come around eventually. Alright, I'll give it a try. Do you have any advice? Uriander can take the hind legs off of a behemoth. Uriander would probably be better suited. Though I am proficient in many tongues, such as Fae, I cannot claim to be as one well versed in the parlance of the younger generation. Their predilections and inclinations are a mystery I have yet to unravel. I don't know much about it either, but I believe I have a plan. Before she even woke up, I had been asking Lina about what's popular in the Crystarium. I thought it might be nice to show Guy around the place one day, you see. So that's what you were doing. I suppose it makes a night for a nice change of pace from all that studying. But Anna must commend thee on thy choice of confidant. The captain's powers of observation maketh her a veritable font of wisdom concerning the behavior of the Crystarium citizenry. Yes, and now it's time to put that knowledge to good use. Don't let the fear of rejection hold you back. Persistence is the key. Speaking from experience by any chance? Whatever do you mean? Lessons learned from days spent in pursuit of ladies fair, one might suspect. God, you couldn't help yourself, could you? It's alright, Thancred. Your secret's safe with me. And I remind you that you're the reason we're here is to create a better future for everyone in the First, which includes you and Gaia. While it might not be the same scale as bringing life back to the empty, if you're able to befriend her, that will be another way of contributing to a brighter tomorrow. So go on. She's waiting for you. Alright, wish me luck. Alright. I'm gonna eavesdrop on the conversation? Really? Eavesdropping! So much for privacy. Duh. What do you want? Nothing really. It can wait till later. For all we know, that might not be be a later. If you got something to say, hurry up and spit it out. Is everything alright? Not feeling strange around being eaten or anything? Is that what you came here to talk about? Actually, I wanted to ask you. Would you like to go and have coffee biscuits with me? What? Coffee biscuits! They serve them at the second serving in the Crystarium. Everyone's talking about them, so I thought that once we finish our work here, you and I could go there together. Let me get this straight. You came to talk to me about biscuits? Yes, they're light and crispy, and when you dip them in coffee, they're all nice and squidgy. The only reason you're even interested in that in the first place is because everyone else is doing it. Can't you think for yourself? I do what I want. After all, the world could end at any moment. That's not going to happen. Not if we have anything to do with it. Listen, Gaia, I understand what you're going through. Believe me, I do. But you mustn't lose hope. A new day will come. Then another and another. Life's not so bad if you give it a chance. You'll see. Shut up. You think you know me? Even I don't know who I am. Until I find the truth, I'll never be free. Then we'll find it together. I've seen enough pain, enough loss, and I don't want to see any more. And that includes you, Gaia. Why do you care so much about other people? What have they ever done for you? I'm sure you haven't forgotten how we Morans treated you, the precious oracle of light, like a bird in a cage. And yet you act as if none of that ever happened. So forgiving, so selfless. You and your family brought back the night sky, and you finally had the chance to lead a normal life, but instead you're flying around in a giant sin-eater, trying to turn a barren wasteland into some sort of paradise, and for what? I may not remember much of my past, but I'm fairly certain I've never heard of anything so ridiculous. Out of morbid curiosity, I'll see it through to the end, but if you think that makes us friends, you're very much mistaken. Whoa! Gaia! Well, that didn't turn out well. I surmised that to keep Gaia waiting over long would only agitate her further. Gosh, she needs an attitude adjustment. Good lord. To defeat the demi-formed manifestation of both wood and fire shall require every last mode of my strength. That thou hast triumphed over such beings in previous encounters should be at the forefront of thy mind as we commence the summoning. Where are we going this time, Orianger? A place called Ashfall does satisfy our requirements, I believe. The fables speak of travelers sweltering beneath the blazing heat of this midday sun, while after nightfall, slicing winds did tear out their cloaks. I see. Hopefully it won't be quite that bad when I drop the elements. Read, my dear. May I remind thee that to focus is not the same as to deny other thoughts. Whatsoever it is that troubleth thee, thou wouldst be better for acknowledging it. Yes, you're right, of course. It's Gaia that I'm worried about. That as well. May thy concern for her lend you yet more strength. It's time. I'll begin drawing out wind and fire in equal measure. So that's we only get one chance at this, so let's make it count. Great. So to take off Ifrit and Garuda, huh? Alright, the last queue took a bit of time, so hopefully this is better. Oh, now there's a party finder for this thing. Oh, looks like the gate just ended too. I probably didn't have to cut that one out. That was a pretty short wait. Great. Oh, this will be fun. Alright, the last one didn't count. This is the second attempt. The last one was a mulligan. Gotta keep an eye out for those little stupid wind blades that pop up out of the ground, so I don't get hit by that stupid attack. Like that! Get me out of that! No, no. Sure, just walk right towards me. We're only on the second one. We still have 2 more to go. And it's been an hour and a half. A lot of time's gonna be cut out of this, that's for sure. Insolent worms, they dare defy me. A pitiful display. Stand aside. Well, it's one way to take the tethers. Run to the end of the edge of the map. Oh no! Sorry. Alright. Whoa! Oh, it's just on the edge of that. Join me free, by raging wind and engulfing flame, we are born anew. Alright, we're in a much better shape than last time. I am Rakta Paksa, he whose sword that wings on crimson. Oh boy. I was totally out of that? You're bullshitting me. My howling winds feed the flame. Thou shalt defy me no more! Alright, we did better the second time. give you a calm, because you know what you're doing. That was incredible. I never imagined they would fuse together like that, but you took them down all the same. Oops. I suppose the main thing is that we're two elements close to restoring the ether of the empty. Let's go see what difference it has made. Alright, let's go check out on the empty. I still have 2 more of these to do. It's raining. It actually worked, just like Urian just said it would. Everything we could have hoped for. Indeed, our endeavors have been repaid manifold. I wonder what will happen next when we restore ice. Something the matter? One more element and then what? You'll have achieved the impossible while I'll still be nothing. No memory, no past, no family, nothing. The world has moved on and left me behind. Anyone who ever knew me is either dead or gone. So, almighty Eden, can you mend this broken world, but you can't restore one girl's memories? Give me my life back, damn you! I still hunger. Oh, the voice! Extinguish the accursed light. Awaken our true power. Enough riddles! Tell me who I am. You are... I am... Gaia. Gaia. Gaia? What's wrong? Reclaim your memories. Fulfill your destiny. I don't understand. Gaia, can you hear me? Get away from me! Ooh, she's having a psycho moment. Amidst the sound of falling rain, your voice called from within. Long after the rain passed, your voice echoed on. Something's going on with her. Or not you. Well, I thought while this downpour is precisely the result we were hoping for, the novelty of us standing outside in the rain does wear off rather quickly. Not to mention, Gaia's looking a bit under the weather. Let's continue this conversation in Eden's core. Oh boy. Ere we set forth to restore the elements of ice, I would discuss the manner in which the summoning shall be undertaken. Just tell me one thing. Is this going to bring the empty back to the way it was before the flood? While none can say for certain, the change we have observed at points of ethereal intersection doth give cause for optimism. It may be reasonably assumed that the empty shall continue to transform and in the decades to come regain a semblance of its former state. Decades? I don't think you'd quite grasp the sheer scale of the damage left in the wake of the flood. It would have swallowed the entire world if Ophelia hadn't stopped it. Even if Reen has inherited her blessing, wounds like that don't heal overnight. After all, the Empty has been utterly devoid of life for 100 years. And it might take even longer than that to bring life back. I don't expect immediate results, but I do know that it will stay like forever unless we do something about it. My sentiments precisely. Only once with the final element is restored shall we have a glimpse of the future that awaiteth those of generations yet to come. You do all this for a world you may not live long enough to see? While here I am, so absorbed in my own problems that I spare barely a thought of anyone besides myself. For so long I've listened to that voice, telling me what to do, who to be. I was so scared of what might happen if I disobeyed. But I don't want to live like that anymore. I want to be me. Who am I? What am I? Perhaps it's better if I never find out. If Reen's the Oracle of Light, here to mend this broken world, what does this make me? Well, Gaia, the Oracle of Darkness, bringer of misery and death. A monster. It's no wonder they left me. Mother, father, next it'll be all of you. Then I'll be back to where I started, where I've always been. Alone. Gaia, is it the fairy? What's wrong? Afraid I might lose control and ruin all your carefully laid plans? No, it's you I'm worried about. Reen, I'm going outside to clear my head. You just do what you need to do, alright? Something's wrong, I know it. That much is clear. If we have the repeat of her first visit to Eden, we may even be joined by those Voidson friends of hers. If you go and see what Guy is doing, Uriandra and I will stay with Reen. My name is Gaia. That's what you said, isn't it? Eden, the flood, what does it all mean? No, it can't be. Is this what it's been waiting for all this time? Finally, you remember. Nope. What is this? Uh-oh. The darkness that dwells in you, Gaia. The hell's that? A dark spirit? The accursed spawn of Liar drawn to it, like moss to a flame. Pathetic, mindless, and easily bent to my will. Sin Eaters? Now, the time of awakening has come. Cessa, Reen senses Sin Eaters. What's happened? Don't try to fight them. Just bring Guy back inside. Quickly, now. Quickly, now. Bye-bye. Nice try. Out before you had a chance to hit me. What's happened to her? That's a concern for later. First, we must deal with those sin eaters. Sessa, if thou wouldst care to repel our assailants without, I would task Thanker with standing guard within. I shall tend to Gaia meanwhile. Alright. I'm fighting a dark spirit. Darkness spirit, or what the hell you want to call this stupid thing. Alright. On an alt, because getting another relic on your main on one character is easy. The first one is always the grindiest, but once you actually complete all the steps for the first relic, the subsequent relics that you get afterwards are a little bit easier. Some steps you don't have to repeat, and I kind of don't want to do those steps. Some of the steps include 15 runs of Stormblood and Heavensward raids, or Fates, which was it 15? Yeah, it was 15. Alright. Oh good, I'm not paired with that one red mage. Thank God. But I really don't remember how this fight goes. This is the one Eden raid I barely did. Maybe as the fight goes on, I'll start to remember how it goes. Oh, wait a minute. I think I know. I think I remember now. Yeah, okay, I remember this now. Problem is, I'm not sure which color goes in what. Okay, so red on red. Alright. I gotta match the color of the void gates. Blue. There we go. I got it now. Did he get thrown off the map? Left turn or right turn right off the map. I don't like the look of this. The ether's become unstable. I think I have to match the color. No, I think it's the opposite color. Is that the? Yeah, the opposite. Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna get forced off. I remember this now. Darkness is growing. That red mage is beating me to all my races, which is good, I guess. Can save MP. But it's wasting my Swift. Something's coming! Watch out! Alright, this fight's just about to get fun. Alright, so this is going blue. So I need to go to red. Yeah. What? I was looking pretty touch and go right there for a minute. Alright, it's going in red, so I gotta go in blue. Or no! I fucked it up. Oh well. Light, I need to go to blue next. There we go. Easy as that. Alright, you can have all the items. I don't want any of them. She won't wake up. What do we do? You need to calm down. That's what you need to do. What is this place? Where is everyone? So, I'm all alone. Even the fairy is gone. Endless silence, endless darkness. This is what death feels like. It's no use. No one can hear me. How ironic. All those times I wanted peace and quiet, and now I finally have it, I wish I had someone to talk to. I thought I couldn't stand being around them, all their interfering and fussing, and yet I was never lonely. But it's no use. Even after everything we went through, my memories still won't come back. There's no future awaiting me, only emptiness. Those memories, they could stay lost forever, if only this pain will leave me. Now I close my eyes and sink into darkness. And then I'll suffer no more. Gaia! Mother. Father. Wake up! I understand now why tomorrow won't. Wait for tomorrow to claim us. Gaia, can you hear me? This perfect moment never has to end. I'm not giving up on you, Gaia. Say something! What do you want? Please, I'm begging you. Remember all the things we said we'd do? Like going to the second serving for coffee biscuits? Honestly, I don't think she's ever yet. I never. Gaia? I never agreed to anything of the sort. Oh, thank goodness, I was so worried about you. Do you have to be so loud? The fairy fell silent, only to be replaced by Reen's voice ringing through my head. I never thought I'd be so glad to hear it. I should take the picture off, shouldn't I? Huh. On thin ice. You've all gone through a lot of trouble for my part. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Anyway, I've delayed you for long enough. Please, carry on with what you came to do. I'm glad you're back to your usual self, but how are you feeling? Much better now, but something's still bothering me. The fairy spoke to me in a dream, and a stream of memories rushed through my head. I don't recall anything like this happening before, and I'm not sure what it all means. What sort of memories? Hold on. I can't make any sense of them. They were only brief flashes seen through someone else's eyes. At least that's what it felt like. Minfilia, that is the first Oracle of Light, once heard Hydaelyn as the word of the Mother. If the Oracle of Darkness is her counterpart under Zodiark, then we had best prepare ourselves for the worst. Aye, the Knight's return did tip the ethereal balance towards activity, which may have served to awaken a fragment of his power during the first. Having thus roused, he did then fix his gaze upon she who had been marked by darkness, Gaia. Marked or no, Gaia is still her own person. Everything alright? It's nothing. Anyway, let's forget all about that now for now. There'll be plenty of time to think through once the last element's restored. Thou believest thyself well enough that I've seen no reason for delay. Let us forthwith to attend to the revitalization of ice. Shiva, then. Sessa is the only one who have actually seen the primal. Perhaps you could describe her for us. A woman named Niseo made herself a vessel for Shiva. She and the Great Worm race Felgar. Oh man, these are both good responses. Oh man. This tells more about Shiva though. To find a kindred spirit in such an ancient, fearsome creature, I can hardly imagine what sort of person she must have been. The long since departed Shiva was a source of great inspiration to Yaseo, whose method of summoning differed greatly from any we had previously encountered. By the echo did she bear witness to the deeds of the noble Shiva, and thus was she moved to dedicate her to being that self-same cause. 'Twas this devotion that granted her the power of a primal. So she was able to control it herself? Not getting into funny ideas, are you? I'm just thinking aloud, that's all. Anyway, we better get going. Our journey leads to a great glacier situated in the northernmost region of the Empty. I'll get us there as quickly as I can. Oh, she's planning something. What's she planning? It's time to draw out the ether. I was thinking. That I should go with you this time. I want to be the vessel for Shiva. Oh, that's kind of drastic, don't you think? Being still and passive by nature, ice is the element that is most strongly aligned to light. I'll need to get close and use my own abilities as well as Eden's to draw it out. So the Oracle of Light become the Oracle of Ice. I cannot claim to be in favor of this stratagem, and yet the problem we encountered in the stars was summoned in much the same manner. The inherent advantages are undeniable. Absolutely out of the question. Have you forgotten what Sessa does to the primals we summon? I'm not about to stand by and watch as she and Ryan beat the tar out of each other. And in any case, the ether only returns the empty once the creature's been slain, although it seems you have not taken that into consideration yet. Presumably that there's a safe way to disperse it, but it's still far too risky. I thought you had more sense, Reen. It's not as bad as it sounds. Or the Dayform entity as volatile as the problems we have previously summoned, it would be logical to assume that in her role as a conduit, Reen would be hard-pressed to retain control. Sessa would have no recourse but to defend herself by any means necessary, else her life would be forfeit. I know it's dangerous, but I can't not let that hold me back. Please, I gotta try. But I don't see why this is even necessary in the first place. You never had to take risks like this for the other elements. Eden possesses almost infinite power, but what would happen if it began acting without my intervention? If it started to feed on the ether just like the other Sin Eaters, it would undo all of our hard work. 'Tis a disconcerting eventuality and one which cannot be dismissed. I'm worried that even if we realign the elements, things will eventually return to how they were following the flood. Even if I train Eden how to nurture the environment rather than drain the life from it, we can leave it to take care of the empty in our place. I'll channel the ether through myself and show Eden how it's done. This isn't some house pet we're dealing with. If it all goes wrong, then what? I know this all sounds like I'm taking a leap of faith, but it has been a gamble every step of the way. We've managed to come this far because of faith in ourselves and each other. I made my feelings on the matter perfectly clear, but what say you, Cecila? With my memories to guide the summoning, what could possibly go wrong? Marine, I suppose that if you got your heart set on us, there's no point trying to dissuade you. Just don't do anything reckless, is that clear? As crystal. This is going to work, I promise. I'll make sure of it. Well, for all our sakes, I certainly hope so. Because if the primal takes over, it'll be fine. With all you by my side, I know whatever happens, it'll work out in the end. All of us? I hope you're not including me. I can't even deal with my own problems, never mind yours. It's enough just knowing you're here. Anyway, I've decided to take a leaf out of your book. I do what I want, when I want. I made my decision, and so now I have to see it through. Yes, but this is a different kettle of fish altogether. Well, the point is that this is what I want, and I'll do whatever it takes to make it work. So this is how much it means to you. Oh, we're taking quite a risk here. What could go wrong, right? So many things. I don't know how, but I can see her too. This might actually work. Oh boy, let's hope it does. Alright. Oh, that was instant. Alright, I'm happy with that. Nice. Assuming the tank can queue up. And I made it sail too. Sweet. Building up my monies. Alright, let's see how this goes. There's Shiva. Yeah, we knew this would happen. Starting to get tired now. I'm doing this all day, man. I was kind of hoping I'd be done with eating by now. Just gonna go out. Mr. Homie, no! There's so many deaths in this raid tier. The first one was so easy. Oh, good. The mirrors. Fuck the mirrors. I hate this mechanic so much. Yeah. That's the one mechanic that always trips me up. Aww. Ah, I meant to cast throw out Medica too real fast. Fuck. I was too slow on that. Stop the light from the fractured world. God, that hurts so bad. Oh, we almost fucked that up. We were at 80. We almost wiped. I do like the music of this phase of the fight, though. Oh god, it's this mechanic. This one's in? Yeah. I hate the mirrors!
こんな輝きは力に砕け散れ
Oh no! Oh! Invincibility frames, gotta love it. Oh boy. They're taking a lot of vulnerability stacks. Oh god, that was close. Yeah, I was gonna eat that. Not the mirrors! Not the mirrors! Oh. Oh, yeah, no. Whoa!
光の力が溢れてる。このままじゃビーンの魂が持たない。
Huh.
闇の力が今こそ役に立ったよね。相殺する。デレイスペル。私には明日があるんでしょ。そこにあなたがいなかったら絶対許さないから。記憶がなくたってこれくらい。
There we go. Christ. Yeah. I want that. Oh, I didn't know there's a ring minion here. Oh, when actually I roll a 1. Ah. Fucking 1. I didn't know there was a wind-up green minion in this place. This is the first time I've ever seen it, and I roll a 1. Well, I'm not surprised. My roll with my luck with minions suck. Ah. Alright. You alright, lass? Ring! You were there. I heard you. What happened to Shiva? She's still in control? No, she's gone. But Gaia... What? That hammer. It matches your dress. I see you're back to your normal idiotic self. Oh, the Final Fantasy VIII theme rolling in. Look, isn't it pretty? Maybe we could take it with us? Ice tends to melt, you know. Not this sort. Well, if you say so. Anyway, it might even make a nice necklace. That's a brilliant idea. Will thou not rush to her aid? Perhaps I'm getting slow my age because it would seem guys beat me to it. To think that she would be the one to break the ice. You're funny! They may have gone off to a rocky start, but I think they'll make quite the pair. Is that a hint of melancholy I detect in thy voice? Something akin to a pining mother bird whose chicks have flown the nest? God, I love this theme. I always loved this theme from Final Fantasy VIII. And I love this remix of it. Father bird, if you don't mind. But you're not entirely wrong. Still, when the day finally comes to say goodbye, it heartens me to know that she won't be alone. After that, we can go to the second serving for coffee biscuits. she still hasn't. Fine, you win. And if they're anything less than perfection itself, I'll never let you live it down. If they're not to your liking, there are plenty of other things to try. I suppose we both deserve a little treat after all that hard work. You certainly do. Yeah, they'll be fine. There we were, laughing as if we had not a care in the world. Fleeting though it was in that moment, I was content. But my life was never meant to be so simple. Oh boy. I have at least an hour of video to cut out. Jeez. I'm so sorry everyone, I clearly have a long way to go before I can handle that kind of power. But we achieved what we set out to do, and as I had faith we would, so without further ado, let's return to camp and admire our work. Ooh, what's this? I'll take that. So I think I got the other one last time. Alright, let's take our... Ooh, there's greenery! It's life. And there's a fire brewing too. Still not... No, not widespread though, which is unfortunate. The site already looks so much better. I can feel all the revitalized elements working in harmony. I've always believed Eden had the power to restore the empty, but I never expected it to happen so quickly. You're the one who made it all possible. I mean, we ran into a few problems with Shiva, to say the least, but the others all went more or less according to plan. That we were able to come so far along this arduous journey may rightly be attributed to thine unwavering resolve. Aye, when you said that you'd reclaim this world, you surely meant it. We're proud of you, Rain. I wonder if the effects of the rebalanced ether will spread to the rest of the empty. Perhaps we'll just wait and see. Besides, I'm sure we could all do with a rest. I must say, Rain, it's refreshing to see you take a more measured approach for a change. Well, if my experience here has taught me anything, it's that I shouldn't rush into things unprepared. And I've also learned that there are some problems that can't be solved alone. Is that so? Since you freed me from Yulmore, I've met all sorts of kind people who've gone out of their way to help me. I thought I should do everything in my power to repay their kindness and make the world a better place. But now, more than ever, I realize that there's a limit to what I can achieve by myself. Even though I wasn't able to summon Shiva, I couldn't control such vast amounts of ether. If Gaia hadn't been there for me, I might have never returned to normal. I could see the same about you. I was trapped in a nightmare, but you freed me. It seems you're more alike than I thought. We might not be able to do everything by ourselves, but if we look out for each other, then we can face our problems together. That's if you don't mind. No, it's fine. Really. If things don't work out, we can always go our separate ways. Huh. But on the other hand, if I can resist the urge to punch you whenever you annoy me, and when I must say it is quite often, I have no objection to staying around. You mean it? Oh, thank you, Gaia. Thancred. Brings a tear to your eye. May I suggest we continue this conversation on Amarang? Though the empty may now support with foliage that land's normalization had but begun, and to linger over long will still entail with risks. Is that the matter, Thancred? Nothing you need to worry about. Let's go. Alright. Peace time, I should go back to Mordsock. Before we do anything else, we should report to Yalfort. He'll want to know how we've been getting on in the empty. Speaking of Mordsock, there was a snack of some sort that caught my eye last time. I can't quite describe it, but it looked squidgy. Despite a strong suspicion that I might live to regret it, I'd like to try one. Oh, I think I know you're the one you mean. They might not be much to look at, but I bet they taste amazing. Perhaps we can also try those little pile of those jelly wrigglers or whatever they're called. I'll even let you take the first bite. Ew, no thank you. First coffee biscuits, not worms and jelly. Heavens forbid the two of you might actually eat some proper food. Cecil, might I ask a favor of thee? While Thancred and I return onto Crystarium to inform our comrades of our recent exploits, I would have the company Reen and Gaia to Mordsock. Alright. Fine, I can do that. Alright. Is it Trestle as well, Miss Gaia? I will be at once we get out of this desert town. If I spend another night in that dingy little room, I shall scream. I'm terribly sorry to hear that the accommodation was less than satisfactory. I'll investigate the availability of more comfortable lodgings post-haste. Yes, I think we'll be staying in Mordsock at least for the time being. It might take a while for me to write the report, as our expedition was rather eventful. Cecil, I really appreciate everything you've done, and I'm sorry for all the trouble I put you through. Still fretting about that, are you? What's done is done. Besides, it all worked out in the end, didn't it? Oh, you're right. You're right. Now, how about that treat we promised ourselves? They might not have coffee biscuits here, but I've heard the regular cakes are to die for. Or was that you'll die from eating them? Only one way to find out, I guess. You have fun with that. I'm sure that the local delicacies will keep us occupied between writing reports and thinking about the next plan of action. Hopefully we'll have another chance to visit the empty to see how things are coming along. And don't even think about leaving me behind. I would never. We must complete the echoes of the fallen star. Oh no, I think that's patch 5.2 or 5.3. What patch is that? I was wondering because at point Thancred, by the time the third tier came out, Thancred, everybody's gone. What patch is that? 5.3? That's okay. It's patch 5.2. That's not terrible, but I was kind of hoping to get all this done now. Fuck. Well, that's a shame. Well, I guess the Eden raids are on hold until I go through the patch 5.2, and that's not gonna happen until I do the Alliance raids. So, we'll come back to this because I think 5.2 is when the next little little side quest bit pops up, like with the 4 lords and the Warren Triad, which works out, I guess. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you when we start the Alliance raids. So, I will see you then. Later.